We're seeing a ton of it here as we are over over the Santa Fe Dam recreational area where we're shooting this from. Obviously, there is a massive flight restriction, so we can't get too close to this. But this is looking to the north from the San Gabriel Valley. And as I widen out, you could just see how far this fire has spread. It's really, really insane. Earlier, we actually were attempting to make it to the north side of the fire to see if we could see any of those evacuation zones in Wrightwood and the Opinion Hills area, but the smoke had already settled into the high desert to such a low altitude that we really weren't able to see any of that. So now we're back here over the San Gabriel Valley, and you can just see so much open flame at this point. And this is just one that, I mean, what are firefighters going to do to contain this? They've had trouble stopping it, from getting to the other side of the mountains as it is. But this is just an incredible fire, how this one has really blown up. And it's really just kind of an eerie glow that you can see now from across the San Gabriel Valley. We've been able to see a lot. I mean, actually, earlier we could see all of the fires when we were over the Lake Paris area, but here, as again, even from the Santa Fe Dam recreation area, even through all the smoke and the bad Southern California air quality, here is the line fire that is threatening the Big Bear area. So we can see that even from this distance. That's how powerful the flames are, a good 40 or 50 miles away. Don't think I can see the airport fire from this vantage point, though. I'm looking towards the south and can't quite see it, but as I zoom out, you can still see how powerful that glow is coming from the San Bernardino National Forest. Now back over to the San Gabriel Valley area and the Angeles National Forest, and the bridge fire that I still just can't believe how this one has blown up. Did not expect it to get up to Wrightwood, and to hear that it's threatening Mountain High. Probably going to affect Angeles Crest Highway as well, which a lot of us motor enthusiasts were hoping that road was going to be reopening sometime soon. I have to imagine that those plans are going to be shelved for some time as this fire now begins to devastate an area that, just a few years ago dealt with the massive bobcat fires. So here we go again, unfortunately, for the Angeles National Forest and everyone living around there, Mike.
Yeah, and guys, I'm looking at the radar too, and it's hard to see from Desmond Shot because it's dark, but they do have two night dropping helicopters up there that are doing their best. They're pulling out of the dams. I believe it's the Morris Reservoir that is in there, which is really a little crazy to think because the Morris Reservoir is so far from the town of Wrightwood, but that's the length of the area this fire has really spanned.
Gotcha. And now we want to go to the line fire, of course, there in San Bernardino County. It has grown rapidly to just under 28,000 acres, only 5% contained right now. Firefighters in all three fires, but also in this one, trying to gain control of the blazes as they also deal with gusty winds and extremely dry vegetation out there. We know evacuation orders still remain in effect for several neighborhoods there that is in Bernardino County dealing with the line fire.
That's right, and that's where we also lost homes and where we find our Nicole Comstock now. Nicole.
Well, you guys, firefighters have been working hard for the past 6 days, actually, to try and control the line fire. But today they just had these really strong, gusty northeast winds that helped push the fire here into the community of Running Springs. And you can see that this entire guardrail here along the 330 is completely lined in fire retardant. The hillside behind us is changed forever. It's completely blackened, and the fire pushed through this area earlier this evening. You can tell that those are all just trees down there that are still smoldering in the fire's path. Unfortunately, as we mentioned, we did lose at least one home here in the community of Running Springs, which was near Pinecone Drive in the 330. But when you take a look at this video we're going to show you here, just listen to the winds pushing the flames uphill, and then you'll have an idea of what firefighters were dealing with. Take a listen here. So those are some very intense winds they were dealing with this evening on the line fire. Firefighters made a stand in this neighborhood but could not save that home, unfortunately. The fire started Thursday in Highland. Now we're hearing it's headed to Big Bear, although CAL FIRE says it's not there just yet. It still has some time to burn its way through some of the forests there. There are mandatory evacuation orders for a portion of Big Bear Valley now, so most people are trying to get to safety now so they don't have to deal with that later when things could become very intense. The fire is about 27,000 acres in size, and we did get an update. We think it's closer to about 10 to 14% contained now. There are currently 65,000 structures, including homes that are threatened by this fire. That includes over 9,000 that are under evacuation orders and 56,000 more under evacuation warnings. So that's a crazy amount of people being told to leave their homes. The north and east sides of the line fire continue to burn the most intensely tonight. Smoke is heavily impacting this area as well. There was a red flag warning in effect out here until about 8 o'clock tonight. And they're expecting gusty winds overnight as well, and low humidity, which will not be helping them here on the fire lines. The only thing is that the temperatures are lower this evening. We did speak with a couple of neighbors who were talking about how intense this all was as the flames overtook that home earlier today in Running Springs. Here they are.
All that we heard was, we heard it. We were inside here and we were trying to get going ourselves, and they evacuated us. They were going to start stopping the fire on the end of our property. We got to the bottom of the street, it came ripping through here, and we heard a couple bangs, and we knew it was a house. Flood leveled it. Yeah, all you see is posts up there.
Today we had the normal up canyon winds that were really strong, so firefighters really had a tough fight on their hands.
And Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency out here a couple of days ago, which allowed him to authorize the National Guard to come out to this area and help with firefighting efforts at the line fire. That means they have some additional Black Hawk helicopters out here. They also have a military police unit helping San Bernardino County deputies, making sure that they can protect evacuated homes, because obviously anytime you have thousands of people being told to leave, they're concerned about their properties. They're concerned that there could be people up here looking around, maybe some potential looting. Deputies say they haven't seen anything like that yet, but that's exactly why they have deputies who are undercover and the National Guard in neighborhoods protecting homes. Another really sad piece of news we heard with this fire, which we believe just developed later this afternoon as the fire was making its way to the north and the east. We're hearing the oldest fire lookout in the San Bernardino National Forest near the Keller Peak Fire Lookout. That lookout tower we're hearing did burn today in the line fire. Lots of people commenting about that, watching these tower cameras as the flames came up in this drainage area and really started burning toward Running Springs. Again, it sounds like fire crews are most concerned looking forward to parts of the Big Bear Valley. That's why they increased evacuation warnings there to evacuation orders a little bit earlier today. People really should know that they need to get out of that area, even if they don't see the flames coming, super close to their homes at this point. You have the professionals out here charting the fire's path. They know where it's headed next. They're looking at the winds out here. So if they've already told you to go, the Sheriff's Department says that means you need to leave when it's still safe to do so. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Nicole, thank you so much. And now from Running Springs to Lake Elsinore, where our Lori Perez was showing us flames getting really big tonight and growing towards her, actually. So she had to actually get out of the way. I believe she is joining us now with another update for us. Lori, where are you now?
We are actually just a little bit around the corner from where we were just a few moments ago. And I could echo so much of what Nicole was saying about the line fire. Evacuations also here in Lake Elsinore. Easy to see why. When you take a look at the hillside behind me, understand that when we arrived here 45 minutes ago, none of this, not a speck of this hillside was on fire. Now you can see it is totally burning and on flames. And if you go up further up the ridge in the distance, you can see the really aggressive fire further up. And then I want to show you, this fire is surrounding us and the firefighters. If we turn around, we're going to cross the street safely. And I want to show you, I'm sure you can already see through the trees here the glow of the fire, but how much this has spread. When we arrived, again, none of this hillside that we're about to show you was on fire, and now it is totally engulfed. Just an example of the situation and the fire behavior that firefighters are having to deal with, that is really raging here. Fire crews are stationed all up and down the Ortega Highway here, keeping an eye on these flames and trying to see how they can control them, if they can control them. Further up from where we are, about maybe a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile to a mile, is that neighborhood where we have seen a lot of the homes burning. I know that we have some video of that unfortunate scene unfolding up there just a couple of hours ago as the flames did reach structures and properties and start to burn the homes up there. We were trying to get up there, but in fact, firefighters told us that it would not be wise to go up that way because the fire was approaching and jumping the road. So we stopped right where we are. There is one property near where we are standing that is very much at risk. In fact, it's very likely that it will become engulfed in flames within the next couple of hours. That's how widespread these flames really are at this point. Firefighters doing their best to keep it at bay. But I'm sorry, is someone trying to talk to me? Okay. So, yeah, so again, just a really aggressive scene here in Lake Elsinore. There are evacuations here. We understand that. Last check, I'm sure it has been updated. More than 19,000 acres the airport fire is now. More than 500 personnel. We have seen so many teams of fire crews going up and down this highway. Just in like the last hour that we have been here, really trying to see where this is going, if they can tell where it's going. I can tell you the wind is brisk. It's not crazy windy, but there is a wind that is certainly undoubtedly helping to fuel this. They did say that a lot of this was fueled by, the 2 winters that really allowed a lot of this vegetation and brush to get so dense. You can hear things popping as the fire approaches the structures. Anyway, the rain really allowed things to get so dense and to fuel them, their growth, and now they are ready to burn. And as you can see, they are certainly doing so. Sweeping back across the street again for a different perspective, you can see just how many large fires they are dealing with all at once. It really is something to see from here on the ground.
Lori, I know earlier we were talking to you.
Guys, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Lori. I know we were talking with you earlier. You talked about the firefighters. They made you move kind of down the road, but at the time there was a fire that was close to jumping the street there, the road. Did it jump it?
Well, I believe it did, but it has been cleared at this point because these sheriff's deputies that you can see going up, they're going to go actually right by that spot that I showed you earlier where it was jumping. So they are trying to get up towards that neighborhood that we were trying to get. That's the El Carrizo neighborhood that was burning, where the homes were on fire earlier. Those deputies are trying to get up to that area now. So they surely must be able to do that since they're headed up that way now. They obviously, that's their job. We have been cleared to go up there. We're trying to see what the options are at this point, how safe that is, and how wise that is to do. When certainly there is a lot to see at this vantage point as well.
And Lori, I just want to clarify one more time for the people who are watching, people who might have homes in this area, who are concerned about their properties, that you do believe that the homes that are burning right now in this fire are along El Carrizo.
That's correct. We had word that it was El Carrizo Road, which is off of this highway, about 3/4 of a mile to a mile from where we are. We do understand that that is the neighborhood where there were structures burning just hours ago. I'm not sure of the status of it at this point because we have not been able to get up there, but that is our understanding of where there were some properties burning. There's just one property across the street here that we are keeping a watch on along with other firefighters.
All right, Lori Perez there in Lake Elsinore, thank you so much. And we want to turn things over now to meteorologist Evelyn Taft with a look at the conditions on the multiple fires burning across Southern California tonight. Evelyn, the wind gusts, the biggest concern for firefighters.
Always the wind gust #1, because that really could push the fire, fan the flames. And then on top of wind, of course, we're always looking at relative humidity, which is decent right now. And we're always looking at temperatures as well. The good news, temperatures will get cooler over the night hours and through tomorrow. Relative humidity is going to come up, and wind should should stay at bay. At the moment in Lake Elsinore, we're really not looking at much wind. Of course, it's a different story on the fire lines, but down below, we are looking at a pretty calm wind at this point. In fact, not much wind registering whatsoever. It feels like it's 85 degrees. It is 85 degrees, which at this time of night is very warm. So we don't have temperatures working in our favor. We will start to see a little bit of that marine influence, and temperatures will get cooler as a result. Otherwise, humidity is at 27%. That's okay. We don't want it in the single digits. We're certainly not in the single digits. We don't want it in the teens. So we're out of the teens. We're at 27%, and we are expecting to see some recoveries in the overnight hours. As we look at wind gusts all across Southern California, holistically speaking, we're not looking at a lot of wind, just a couple spots faced with a little bit of wind right now, and relative humidity 30, 40, 50%, 37% for Burbank, 50% for downtown. I'm just giving you an idea where it's certainly higher in other areas, but once we head to the IE, that's where humidity starts coming down, relative humidity in the 20% range. Big Bear right now, 34%, so we're doing okay in the way of relative humidity. I also want to talk about air quality because we're now looking at air quality alerts extended through our Wednesday. That's through tomorrow, through the San Gabriel Valley, the Inland Empire, and Orange County. Getting reports that a lot of that thick smoke is starting to travel into the KCAL Valley currently. A lot of people evacuating, for example, out of Wrightwood, heading toward the desert. And yes, of course, conditions are okay fire-wise, but smoke-wise, not the case. We're looking at pretty poor air quality through the KCAL Valley right now. Again, through most of Southern California, from the San Gabriels, the LA County Mountains, all through the Inland Empire and Orange County. So we have to be on high alert as far as air quality goes from the wildfire smoke. So even if you're not in the zone of fire, you could be getting the smoke without being there, just because the wind is carrying it at this point, carrying it due eastward. Let's take a look at your futurecast. Air pollution wise, we're looking at the worst of it. Again, this has been in the last hour, indicated by the purple on your screen and the red on your screen. So you're going to see the IE really affected, mostly just the IE at the moment, and the KCAL Valley. Now, this is where we are within an hour. You're going to see things really continuing to move east smoke-wise, but we're going to start to see some poor air quality start to come through Orange County and the basin. Take a look closer to Laguna Niguel right there into the IE, Temecula, San Jacinto, San Bernardino, and again into the desert as well. This will continue through tomorrow. Again, those air quality alerts posted through tomorrow night. No surprise that red flag conditions are staying with us. We are looking at critical fire danger through tomorrow. I do want to bring you the latest spot forecast, so just bear with me. I'm going to step off and just take a look right here because the latest spot forecast is coming out from the National Weather Service. And I do want to tell you that we are expecting temperatures to be a lot cooler. We're going to be down about 14 degrees for the IE tomorrow, with temperatures ranging between the 80s and the 90s. So that's already a really big improvement from the triple digits we got used to seeing. We're going to see southerly winds between 6 to 11 miles per hour. Gusts could get up to 20 miles per hour. But I will tell you that a southwesterly wind is good. This is your sea breeze. It's bringing in cooler air, cooling us down. Otherwise, humidity 15 to 25%. So we will be in the teens at some point, but we're not going to get into the single digits. So that's already good news. Wind-wise, wind advisories not in the IE, but certainly posted through the Antelope Valley through tomorrow. I want to talk about these temperature changes. Why? Because they will aid in the firefight all across Southern California. We got cooler today compared to yesterday by 10 to even 18 degrees, which is pretty tremendous, and temperatures will continue to trend downward. So that is certainly working in our favor. Again, wind will pick up a little bit, but we're not under advisory territory. But of course, critical fire danger is staying with us, and we do have those warnings in effect through tomorrow night. Air quality, also remember, a big concern. Even if you're not near the fire per se, you could be getting the smoke from the fire. So just keep on alert if you're in Orange County, if you're in the Inland Empire, and if you're in the San Gabriel Valley as well. We do have those air quality alerts staying in effect through late tomorrow night. So we're going to continue to keep you posted. Again, we're going to have the latest conditions from the fire lines, but at the moment, again, smoke blowing eastward, and we are continuing to see calm conditions in the wind department, but still warm conditions in the temperature department. Temperatures will start to cool a bit in the overnight hours, so we're going to continue to watch it, and that will help. For now, I'll send it right back to you guys.
All right, Ev, thank you. We know it has been brutal out there for those firefighters, and the weather creating some, intense heat for them. But so good to hear about that cool down, which will help aid as they fight these fires.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, now to the bridge fire. Assignment editor Mike Rogers at the desk. Mike, this is a fire that exploded in size, 30,000 acres tonight.
Yeah, and really shockingly quick as well. I mean, I want to remind everybody that all three of these fires, with the exception of the line fire, has been burning a little bit longer. But, the airport fire, the bridge fire, these have only been burning for a day, 2 days. I mean, we're talking 30,000 acres since Sunday, and extraordinary growth just since yesterday. I want to show you some of that video that we've been looking at, that we've been showing you. This is KCAL just before sunset, and it really gives you a big picture of the smoke columns and just how much land this has really chewed through. Remember, this started near the Santa Fe Dam Recreation Area on the San Gabriel Valley side, and has already pushed its way all the way through the hills and now reaching the community of Wrightwood that is now under mandatory evacuations. And of course, it's hard for the community of Wrightwood because we spoke with that small business owner up there that is their livelihoods. I want to show you more video here from the cameras. This is actually from the ski resort up there in Wrightwood that you can see was being taken over by the flames, by the smoke. Left side of your screen, that's where those flames are going to start to poke through here. These are, again, in the winter would be where people are skiing, where people are enjoying themselves. Again, another business in our community that is now going to have to deal with these circumstances that this fire has prevented. Now, just before, right around 7 o'clock hour, we brought that to you live here on KCAL News. There was a press conference held by several people, the LA County Sheriff Robert Luna, LA County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney. I want to play you a bit of that press conference.
There has been substantial wildfire growth throughout the day, with movement to the north and the east, with impacts to the communities of Mount Baldy and Wrightwood. The fire department resources are being deployed for structure defense in those areas. Not only Los Angeles County Fire Department resources, but regional resources. Our top priority right now is to protect residents, communities, critical communications, and power grid infrastructure. As a region, our fire agencies are at drawdown with 3 major fires burning in Southern California. The bridge fire here in LA County, the line fire in San Bernardino County, and the airport fire in Orange County. These 3 simultaneous fires are stressing resources for the fire department, so we're asking for resources from Northern California and adjoining states. The mandatory evacuation orders are in place. Those are mandatory evacuation orders for the Mount Baldy and Wrightwood communities. We urge everyone who's under an evacuation order to leave now. If you're under an evacuation warning, you should prepare to leave at a moment's notice. We have evacuation centers set up: the Antelope Valley Fairground, the San Bernardino County Fairground, and the LA County Fairground in Pomona. Animal shelters are also set up at the Antelope Valley Fairground and the DeVore Animal Shelter. For road closures, we have Mount Baldy Road at Shin Road. We have State Route 39, and that's the San Gabriel Canyon Road. We have the East Fork Road. The Wrightwood road closures are Highway 2 and Highway 138, Glendora Ridge Road, and Glendora Mountain Road. We urge everybody to please take immediate action if you're in the fire area, and leave when evacuation orders are sent. Leaving early will give you and your family the best chance of surviving this incident. You will also help firefighters and law enforcement and sheriff's deputies by keeping roads clear and open so they can do their job.
Yeah, and their job really intense tonight. This is another angle from one of the tower cameras that are up there, and you can see just the fire burning right up against it. These are cameras that are designed to spot fires from a distance away without having to have people up in the forest. And as you can see, the fire has come right up to it. I want to show you one more camera really quickly because I just think this underscores what we're looking at. You see the glow on the hill. This is from the Hollywood Hills. This fire can now be seen from the Hollywood Hills. This is our camera up on the Hollywood Hills. So really incredible the amount of flames that are still there. And I want to point out, that's on the Los Angeles County side. The bulk of this fire has now pushed through and is on the other side towards the high desert. So even still tonight, you can see that fire burning from the Hollywood Hills as it explodes to more than 30,000 acres, guys.
All right, Mike, thank you. And we are talking to other officials out there covering this, the bridge fire, and we're getting new information tonight from Mason Judy. He's the public information officer for the Forest Services, talking about the bridge fire. Nathan Judy on the phone with us now. Can you give us an update as to the evacuation orders out there right now? And we know the fire has spread to more than 34,000 acres of land out there with the bridge fire. And thanks for joining us here tonight.
Of course, not a problem at all. Yeah, Nathan Judy with the U.S. Forest Service. So just as Chief Maroney said in that video you guys just played, those evacuation orders are still in place. We haven't had any new ones just yet, but I know that some warnings will be coming out. So I just encourage everyone to continue to look at the sheriff's social media site. That's both LA County and San Bernardino County sheriffs, along with the fire departments, both LA County and San Bernardino County, for any new evacuation warnings that do come out or orders. We just want folks to be very prepared. In case a warning comes out, that means you get your stuff packed, get your stuff ready, medications, prescriptions, photos, important paperwork, of course your pet's paperwork, and extra pet food if you want to make sure you're taking your pets out of there in case you do have to evacuate on a moment's notice. The fire really did get established today in a couple of the canyon bottoms and ran through a wilderness area to the north and to the east. And that's where you saw threats come towards the Wrightwood area and the Mount Baldy area as well.
And Nathan, if you can just talk to us about the areas that are under evacuation orders tonight and those areas that are under threat from this fire.
So the areas that have been under evacuation orders, that's the East Fork of the San Gabriel River, that's Camp Williams in there and the river community, the Mount Baldy area above Shin Road, and in Wrightwood. I don't have the exact areas in Wrightwood, but I know, as the sheriff talked about tonight on our press conference, at least 34 homes were evacuated in that area. I would think more by now as the fire continues to move that direction.
Nathan, do you have any numbers when it comes to the amount of buildings or homes being threatened tonight by the bridge fire? Earlier, our Nicole Comstock talked about 65,000 homes being threatened out there.
I don't have an exact number for you, but that wouldn't surprise me if it was about that. And it's really looking at the communities that could be threatened. That's not just Wrightwood or Mount Baldy, but you have the communities along what we call the front country. The fire hasn't moved down there yet. We don't want to scare people and think it's going to, but people have to be aware. You have Claremont, you have Laverne, you have San Dimas, you have Glendora. Those communities, there's a lot of communities on the foothill areas that just need to be aware in case a warning does come down. The fire was, again, burning north and east, but anyone that's within the vicinity of the fire or around it should just be ready at a moment's notice in case they need to evacuate.
So, Nathan, what is the plan for firefighters tonight? I know that the stretched resources are making things very difficult for firefighters across our state, and not just our area. What is the plan?
Our firefighters will be working throughout the night, as we have been the last few nights. We've been hitting the fire real hard and real heavy with aircraft at nighttime, dropping fire retardant. The folks that we got that were funded by Southern California Edison, those night flying aircraft really helped with hammering the front country over the few nights with air retardant drops, with water drops to suppress that fire from moving south down the hills into those front country communities. So we really appreciate all the great work that they've done. They're going to continue that fight, but it's not just a fight in the air. We need to make sure our boots on the ground are prepared, because what aircraft does, putting retardant down or water down, is slowing the progression of the fire, but it's really the boots on the ground that can cut line and just stop the spread of that fire.
All right, thanks a lot for the very latest there on the bridge fire from Nathan Judy, the Public Information Officer for Forest Services. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Nathan.
All right, I do believe we have our Nicole Comstock joining us now. She is covering the line fire out in San Bernardino County. Let's go to Nicole for the latest. Nicole?
Well, Susie, firefighters have been working really hard to try and get the line fire under control out here in San Bernardino County for 6 days now, dealing with really extreme heat for the better part of that time as well. Today, they had really gusty winds pushed to the north and the east, bringing this fire into the community of Running Springs, where you can see this portion of the 330 is completely lined with fire retardant, where you can tell they made a stand to protect this community. We should tell you that the town here, the businesses look pretty good. They are covered in pink in that fire retardant as well. But if you take a look at the landscape behind us here, it is completely blackened. And actually, a lot of the guardrails leading up to 330 were burned by the fire. So that's going to be a big construction project when this is all over. Unfortunately, we did lose a home out here earlier today near Pinecone Drive in the 330. Take a listen, though, to the wind in this video so you know what firefighters were dealing with. Well, firefighters made a stand. Firefighters did make a stand in this neighborhood, but unfortunately could not save that home from burning down. The line fire started Thursday in Highland. It is making its way all the way over toward Big Bear Valley, although CAL FIRE tells us it's not quite there yet. Still has quite a distance to get there. However, that area, part of it, I should say, is under a mandatory evacuation order now. Out of an abundance of caution, they want to make sure people get out while it's still safe to do so, especially since there's just going to be that one way out of that area heading out on the 18. The line fire is about 27,000 acres in size and 14% contained. We're hearing that 65,000 structures, including homes, are threatened, 9,000 people under evacuation orders, and 56,000 people under evacuation warnings. That's a lot of people being told to leave their homes. The north and east sides of this fire are continuing to burn the strongest tonight. That red flag warning apparently ended out here at 8 o'clock tonight, but we still have low humidity, extremely dry vegetation. It is cooling off, however. It's about 64 degrees, so that will help the firefighters on the ground overnight. They're working to create control lines out here and trying to use aircraft again in the morning when they can. We spoke with a few neighbors and CAL FIRE who just mentioned how intense this fire was when it came up to Running Springs today. Take a listen.
All we heard was we heard it. We were inside here and we were trying to get going ourselves, and they evacuated us. They were going to start stopping the fire on the end of our property. We got to the bottom of the street. It came ripping through here, and we heard a couple bangs, and we knew it was a house. Flood leveled it. Yeah, all you see is posts up there.
Today we had the normal up canyon winds that were really strong, so firefighters really had a tough fight on their hands.
And Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency out here in the San Bernardino National Forest earlier this week, which allowed him to authorize the National Guard to come out here and help with firefighting efforts. We're told that they added 4 more Black Hawk helicopters out here. They're obviously not working right now because it is nightfall. It is very smoky out here. We're probably going to see more aircraft coming back in tomorrow morning. Another little bit of sad news we're hearing with this fire is that the oldest continuous serving fire lookout in the San Bernardino National Forest, the Keller Peak Fire Lookout, was burned today in this fire when these flames just really spread through the wash there and overtook that area. So lots of people are commenting about how sad that is, how, you know, that's a piece of local history that you're not going to see coming back. The town in Running Springs, like I mentioned, the stores there all look pretty good. It looks like so far there was just this one home that did burn down. And, you know, firefighters are dealing with having to have the active flames over here in Running Springs, set their plan in place for what they're going to do when the fire moves more out toward Big Bear. But also they had the bridge fire explode just to the west of us over there near Wrightwood today. So they had to take some of their resources from this fire and move them over there as they sent off a new round of mandatory evacuation orders. And as that fire really started burning towards ski resorts and populated areas over there. So firefighters are definitely stretched thin between all these 3 fires that we have burning in our local area right now. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Nicole, thank you. She's there on the line fire with the very latest. Thank you, Nicole.
All right, I want to go back to Mike Rogers at the desk now for an update on the bridge fire. Mike?
Yeah, the bridge fire is what you're looking at. This is a very distant shot from it from KCAL. Obviously, we can't kind of be there at night. But, you know, Nicole talked about two things. Nicole talked about the intense smoke, which we had also heard from Lori might be hindering night dropping operations because just so you know how you know a night dropping helicopter works is the pilots are wearing night vision goggles, right? But they still have to be able to see something just because it's, you know, night vision goggles aren't always going to help them see through smoke, just through the darkness, right? So that is why we may be not seeing that down in Lake Elsinore, hampering some of those operations. But I wanted to ask Desmond, you know, we talked about diverting resources, and that's kind of, you've been up there over all three of these fires, and we've seen these different air tankers getting pulled in so many directions throughout these fires.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw, and, you know, not just that, but, you know, they have to go kind of far to go refuel as well to get more fire retardant like San Bernardino and at Hemet. And when you just have these fire lines that are exploding in size up these kind of really steep hillsides, unfortunately, it just becomes almost impossible, even with all the air tankers and all of the aerial resources we saw, to be able to contain any of these blazes. So as we look at the bridge fire now, over 30,000 acres, I'll put up the satellite overlay just for a second here, just to see. So this is Mount Baldy right over here. You know, we might have the highest peak in LA County burning right now, and you can see just how fire is able to use these steep slopes like a ladder to just climb by leaps and bounds and expand so quickly. And obviously with all of the brush that's been building up over the last couple of wet years that we've had as well, but these things just work so effectively in fire's favor that these can get away from firefighters very quickly. And I just fear that we might be getting ourselves into a situation like we had in 2020 with the Bobcat fire, where that fire was able to burn for a month because firefighters were so spread thin throughout the state. And now it just, you know, spread thin with this 3-county area right here. So just an incredibly difficult situation. And when I, you know, widen out and show you here, I mean, there may be a couple of water dropping helicopters over here, but realistically, what are they going to be able to achieve tonight? Most likely they would be attacking this area right here, just because this is the closest to homes. So if they could just at least keep it at bay from homes is probably the best they're going to be able to do until we get those tankers back. And then, like you said, with all the smoke as well being kicked up, that hampers not just the helicopters, but was probably going to affect the tankers tomorrow as well. When we went to the north side of this fire earlier before sunset, it almost looked like a tidal wave of smoke was settling into the Pinion Hills area, the lower high desert, like the Phelan area being affected with smoke as well. I have a friend up there who lives in Apple Valley and saw the pictures up there, and it is absolutely hellacious. And unfortunately, you know, there is no end in sight for this bridge fire. This could be one of those ones that we could be talking about for at least a couple of weeks, Mike.
Yeah, and you know, Des, you and I were talking about this earlier, and Susie and Chauncey, Susie, you've been here covering this area a lot longer than I have, but I don't remember a time that there have been this many major fires in one region. And what is interesting too, and Des and I were talking about this as we were trying to logistically get him into some of these other areas. Des, you talk about the smoke columns from the fires have started to combine in certain areas.
I mean, you know, we were talking
about... Yes, so...
Go ahead, please, Desmond.
Oh, sorry, Susie. The smoke from the bridge fire here was drifting east over towards the line fire, and it all kind of melded together. And then smoke from the southern end of the line fire was drifting towards the airport fire. So there's kind of like this big, long column of smoke that has all kind of joined together between the three, almost like a big half moon going around. All of that smoke obscuring the sunshine in so many areas. So, I mean, we have the highest peak in LA County is either burning or is in imminent danger tonight. The highest peak in Orange County burned yesterday and this morning. And, you know, the way that the line fire is going, if they're talking about Big Bear, then it's fair to say that could potentially threaten the highest peak in Southern California, Mount San Gorgonio. That definitely has not been a situation that I've ever covered where we're talking about all three of the highest peaks in the 3-county area are all in serious jeopardy.
Well, you know, we were talking about these up canyon winds today. That's what we're constantly talking about today. Desmond, I want to ask you, just as you were watching, you know, these flames move on these various fires, what you were noticing with the winds moving these fires uphill and how fast that actually happens.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when you have uphill slopes like that, I mean, we've all kind of stood probably, you know, at an overlook, and you get that kind of gentle breeze that comes up, and that could be all that it takes when you also have the hot conditions, as well as the steep terrain, as well as the thick brush. Then you're just giving one more factor in favor of the fires. And you know, I know we're thinking about like an onshore flow coming over the next couple of days, which could be good news for people in the path of the bridge fire in the San Gabriel Valley, but that could be some pretty bad news for people living in the high desert that are already getting so much of that smoke. So it will be very curious to see how the winds behave over the next couple of days, but I know there's just been a lot of talk. If there was any saving grace, is that this is not a Santa Ana triggered event, or we would almost certainly have be talking about a lot more loss of property than we are already.
All right, thanks a lot, Des. We're going to get back out live to Laurie Parrish. She is there in Lake Elsinore just watching the flames just grow and grow. Laurie?
That's absolutely right. And I want to point out something. We've been talking about how thick the smoke has been, so thick that in the entire time we were here and we were showing you this hillside, not until right now did the smoke clear and were we able to realize that there is a house right at the crest of this hillside. Look how close that roaring fire is to that house. We have been watching as a firefighter has been on the back patio or the back ridge, the backyard there, with a hose spraying water down on those flames. You can see they're doing a pretty good job at this point. It is being kept away from the home, though not that far from it. So you can see why they are so concerned. There is a whole station of firefighters right on the road in front of that home, watching it and trying to preserve it. But I will tell you another development across the street from us, where we have shown you over the past hour or so, the house that we had been talking about that would likely catch on fire is now ablaze. Just moments ago, we really saw it roar up as the wind kind of flares this thing up and down. The homeowner is also watching it in horror, I would imagine, along with us. And that thing just went up maybe in the last 20 or 30 minutes. We can walk further up this street now and show you some of the other developments. This fire continues to just rage here and grow. The firefighters are keeping an eye on it as they were before, and hoping that it goes more into the mountainside for sure. They are among the more than 500 plus firefighters who have been taking care of the airport fire. 110 engines now on this. At last check, it was more than 19,000 acres. I'm sure that has to be updated to even much greater. We are aware of evacuations in Lake Elsinore near the Ortega Highway where we are. It is burning west and south of Lake Elsinore in the Lakeland Village area in Riverside County. OC officials, we understand, did declare a local state of emergency now that this fire has been burning since Monday. And then lawmakers have also asked the governor to do the same, much as he did in the line fire, which really will open up financial support and other support as these crews continue to have to battle this. You know, one of the things that the Riverside County Fire Chief or Orange County Fire Chief spoke about earlier was really the task that they are up to, the competition, his word, that they are having with resources, because there are so many major fires burning, and you know, every crew possible is assigned at this point, and they are working aggressively and strongly and valiantly, but they are getting worked for sure. It is really something to see. This is as close to a wildfire as we have been, as I have been in years of covering fires. It's really remarkable to see the coordination and the organization that they are having as they monitor these fires. You know, it comes to a point, if we could go back up to this house that is burning across the street, it does come to a point, though, you know, when there's really nothing they can do. I mean, that fire was just going up the dense brush around this property, and there really wasn't much that they could do. And it seemed a foregone conclusion, even when we arrived here, that it would eventually catch. And you can see that it is really going up now, which is such a sad sight to see and unfortunate, but no one likes to see it, and I'm going to try and talk to that homeowner to get his thoughts about it. Luckily, he got out which is good news, of course. Here along the Ortega Highway, we have been watching as other locals have been coming down the mountain here. We've seen, civilian cars with people in them getting out of harm's way. We have not been able to get up this road to El Carrizo Road, where we understand more homes were burning earlier this afternoon. It's just not safe for us to do so because the fire has been jumping the Ortega Highway here, and firefighters were advising us that it would not be smart for us to continue to go up north. But there's just so much to see here. I mean, look, even up close there are flames. In the distance, there's enormous amount of smoke. Certainly people down in Lake Elsinore are going to be concerned about air quality as this fire continues. This is now the second day, and this really took such a jump in growth from this morning. I think this morning it was like 8,000 acres. Now we're looking at more than 19,000. The fire officials said that it's really been fueled, by the dense brush on these mountainsides, and also the steepness of them that really helps the fires to rush up the hillsides and fuel this. So there's so much going on. I mean, it's hard for me to even comprehend the job that they have ahead of them. It's going to be a very, very long night, and certainly into tomorrow.
Just, such a heartbreaking scene behind you there, Lori, as your photographer,
I know.
Ben Priestley, captures those incredible images of the flames on the hilltop there, destroying that homes. I mean, that is someone's home that someone is losing right now. So hard to see. But Lori, you were talking about, 500 plus firefighters out there, 110 engines responding to all of this, trying to keep these flames away from homes tonight. Have you seen any aerial support?
When we first arrived here, maybe about, I'm sorry, it's hard to keep track of time because things are so chaotic. But when we first arrived here, maybe an hour or two ago, we did see one chopper overhead. It was actually pretty close. But ever since then, we have not seen any. And I would imagine that that is because of the density of the smoke. I mean, it's pretty thick. And I know that is not good for choppers to go up. They're unable to really fly safely in those kinds of conditions. So I would imagine that's why at this point we have not been seeing that. They could certainly use it, though, because there is a lot to cover around here, of course. The wind is not out of control, but it is windy and it is hot. That dry, windy weather really helping to fuel this and make it grow even more exponentially.
All right, Lori, thank you. And I just can't begin to imagine how that homeowner is feeling tonight, just watching his home just go up in flames. Mike, just really quick, I know you have been watching the movement of these fires and the flames and some of the areas. I looked at the map that you were talking to. Another problem here is it seems like the fire is also impacting the non-mountain communities.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that's what's been pretty remarkable about this. I mean, Chauncey, noon, we were talking about that same communications tower that I showed you last night. There was fire there. I want to say 3 o'clock, we were talking about the middle of the Cleveland National Forest off Ortega Highway was burning. And then here we are, I think it was probably around, gosh, I think 5 or 6 when I was trying to get Desmond into the Lake Elsinore area because homes were burning there. The speed of this fire has just been really remarkable, and it just goes to show how much topography really, helps. Now, Nathan Judy is obviously the PIO for the other fire, the bridge fire, but talked about those hand crews. Those hand crews play a critical role, but they can't be on that very steep terrain that comes through where we were. So the hand crews play a role in places like where Lori is at, and they'll be setting backfires, and they'll be, digging out lines to try to prevent it. But unfortunately, the aircraft are what prevents it from getting here to begin with, and then the hand crews are what is trying to prevent things like this, which are these homes burning. But I'm really astonished by the amount of land all 3 of these fires really have chewed through.
Yeah.
All 3 of them are now in forests, which is also a big problem, and it's really remarkable.
Yeah, covering so much ground.
Yeah.
We talk about the aftermath of these fires and what happens the next day. And, as so much smoke is being thrown up into the air, I want to bring in meteorologist Evelyn Taft once again to talk about the air quality, Evelyn.
Air quality is a really big concern with this one. And even though we're looking at just the fire lines, when we look at the whole picture holistically, we're looking at so much smoke affecting areas that really aren't even affected by the fire. At last check, for example, people evacuating from Wrightwood got word they were going to the KCAL Valley to Palm Springs, and really bad smoke in the area again. So really, you don't have to be right near the fire to be experiencing the poor air quality. And we do have alerts posted through tomorrow night. We're going to walk you through those in just a minute. I do want to check in with Lake Elsinore, where we were just checking in with Lori, and you will see it's 85 degrees, which is very warm for this time of night. Not great news as far as the firefight is concerned. We want temperatures to be much cooler than this, and they will get cooler rather in the overnight hours through tomorrow, because we will see a little bit of that marine influence. We are expecting southerly winds to come in and cool us down by at least 5-10 plus degrees tomorrow. Relative humidity at 27%. We're going to sort of vacillate between the teens and the 25% mark. It's decent. It could be better, but it certainly could be worse, especially when we see relative humidity in the single digits. That's when we really start to get concerned. Wind calm in Lake Elsinore, but of course on the ridge tops it is a lot windier, and we aren't expecting that wind to really pick up much in the overnight hours. In fact, we're going to see calmer conditions and cooler conditions as that sea breeze starts to kick in. We're going to take you through that wind futurecast coming up in a little bit, just to show you exactly what to expect wind-wise. You will see we're pretty calm across all of Southern California, with the exception of Burbank and Palm Springs, the only two spots seeing actual wind gusts tonight. Anywhere along the fire lines, again, in the lower elevations there, we are looking at very calm conditions. So that is good news. Of course, on the ridge tops, a little bit of a different story, and fires do create their own weather as we get updraft and downdraft winds on the fire line, and sometimes a little bit of rotation that could cause the wind to really pick up there. But again, that's very isolated. And at this point, really, our surrounding areas looking at calm conditions. Relative humidity, a big piece of the pie as far as firefighting is concerned. We're looking at three elements. We're looking at wind, of course, we're looking at humidity, and we're also looking at temperature. So relative humidity doing decently well. We're not in the single digits. We're not in the teens. We're in the 20 to 30% range, and that's pretty good. You'll see 20% in San Bernardino, 30% Riverside, Big Bear at 36%, and Wrightwood currently at 26%. You'll see humidity doing just a lot better toward the coast. More coming up on the fire lines as far as the weather is concerned, but for now I want to send it right back to you guys.
All right, Evelyn, thank you so much. We want to go now on the phone to Captain Barger, who is the LA County 5th District there, and we want to get the very latest on the bridge fire. Catherine Barger, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. What's the very latest here on this bridge fire?
Well, listen, I mean, we're seeing, and I apologize, my voice is gone between allergies and the smoke, but what we're seeing is these wildfires are unpredictable. And when fire asks you to evacuate, especially in the Mount Baldy area, heed their warning and do it. There's one way in and out. We're seeing how this fire is spreading now, excuse me, to Wrightwood. People need to be vigilant. They need to go on fire.lacounty.gov. They've got a great ready, set, go plan, but people need to listen to the experts because it's a matter of life and death.
And Supervisor Barger, if you can please just run us down what the plan is as far as your district goes. I know we're in the middle of all of this right now, but what are your plans for recovery and helping the residents?
Well, obviously, we always work with the state, who's been incredible helping us navigate this right now with resources. And we're going to stand ready to work with homeowners that, God forbid, they lose property to help them navigate FEMA. We're going to declare a state of emergency, working with the state, and get on that right now. But right now, our focus is trying to make sure that we contain this fire so that we don't have any loss of structures. But there's no question that right now, Wrightwood is under an evacuation order as well. And we're seeing just how unpredictable this is. This morning, Wrightwood was not even being discussed. It jumped the ridge and is moving fast.
Yeah, and Supervisor Barger, hi, it's Mike Rogers here at the desk. I'm curious, there is a big struggle and a big fight for resources right now. Is there anything that can be done at the county level to kind of ensure that the fire departments and, multiple fire departments are getting what they need?
Well, from LA County standpoint, we do mutual aid all the time, and we've got our air ops up there. They can fly at night. I don't know if they're flying right now, but we are all hands on deck. The men and women in County Fire have been deployed out there working with other agencies. And so I'm confident that the resources that we're using obviously stretched thin, but are being used wisely and really focused on areas to protect property and life.
Yeah, and Supervisor, you know, you've been doing this a little while now, and this is one of the, I think, bigger fires that we've kind of seen, and especially with the rapid growth. Did that surprise you at all?
No, you know, I mean, it doesn't, because I knew that we had a problem when we couldn't get containment. But when you look at places like Mount Baldy, I'm very familiar with it. I represent it. One way in and out,
yeah.
2-lane highway. And, you know, there are 211 structures, a population of 210, and they were told to evacuate. And it was because they knew that if they waited till the last minute, it was going to be difficult to get people out when you've got the emergency, you know, personnel going in. And so that's why I'm really, really asking people. We've got, you know, evacuation centers at Pomona Fairplex, Antelope Valley Fairgrounds. Obviously, we're standing ready to help people when they evacuate. But when we've got warnings coming, that's the time to start getting things together so that you can be ready to get out of there when the evacuation orders come in.
All right, Supervisor Catherine Barger, LA County 5th District Supervisor, covering a lot of these areas, including the Mount Baldy area. Supervisor Catherine Barger, thank you so much for joining us.
You got it. Thank you, and be safe, everybody.
Thank you. Take care.
And we have continuing coverage now of our breaking news. 3 major fires burning in our area. 90,000 acres burned, tens of thousands of homes threatened. Some have gone up in flames tonight, and thousands of people evacuating. The bridge fire in the San Gabriel Mountains above Glendora has exploded to 34,000 acres tonight, and it has burned all the way to Wrightwood.
We're also watching the line fire above Highland in the San Bernardino Mountains, with evacuations ordered tonight in the city of Big Bear Lake, and the airport fire, which began in Tribuco Canyon in Orange County, that has now burned across the tops of the Santa Ana Mountains and is burning homes in the Lake Elsinore area in Riverside County. Good evening, everyone. I'm Juan Fernandez.
And I'm Pat Harvey, and we have been covering the fires nonstop all night. The situation is very dangerous all across Southern California. Let's begin tonight with our Lori Perez. She's live from Lake Elsinore. Lori.
Good evening. You know, I just turned around really quickly because I could hear the fire is so loud. This is literally a roaring fire. Those flames right there really emitting a lot of embers, as you can see. That's what I was hearing. But I want to show you this mountainside down here. When we first arrived here, there was very little fire here. Now it is completely engulfed. And take a look to the left here at how very close it is to that home. There are firefighters on the sides of that house who are spraying water, trying to keep those flames from getting any closer than they already are to that house. There is, I will say, we noticed a very good clearance around that house. They did a very good job of clearing any brush around it, so hopefully that will assist firefighters in keeping the fire from reaching the house. Unfortunately, not as fortunate across the street where a house is now completely engulfed. We were worried about that because when we first arrived, the flames were getting closer and closer, and then within the last half hour or so, they did reach the house, and that is now burning. And, you know, as Susie was saying, you know, it's very difficult to look at that and to wrap your head around the fact that that is someone's home. All of their belongings, all of their memories, all of that going up in flames there. We know, we have been told that the homeowner is standing by. We're going to gently try to approach him to talk about what happened. Thankfully, he is out safely and not hurt, but much must be watching just in disbelief as this is happening tonight. Across the street here, I will tell you, the fire was really raging all to the right here. In fact, we were trying to get up, Ben, if you come around here to the left, we were trying to get up this road to go up towards El Carrizo Road, which is where just hours ago we understand there were several homes that were burning, but the flames were so close to the road and in some places jumping the Ortega Highway where we are that firefighters did not advise us to go any further. They said it was simply not safe. So we did not, of course, do that. But we have been watching as the fire has been growing all around us on all sides, the glow everywhere we look. And here's another person trying to get down. We've been seeing locals going down the mountain here with hitches, with their families and equipment and belongings and pets leaving this area. Of course, is under an evacuation, as are other parts of Lake Elsinore. 500 plus firefighters are working here on this, along with more than 110 engines. You know, throughout the night, you've been asking, other people have been asking about air support. When we first arrived, we did see one chopper. Since then, until just a moment ago, I had not seen another one. But just a few seconds ago, I thought I did see one. It is not in the area at the moment, but I think part of the problem has been, Ben, if you switch around here, is that the smoke is just so intense here. It is so thick and dense, which I knew is really a problem for the choppers. It's not safe for them to get up, and it's really counterproductive. There's not much that they can do in terms of seeing where they need to be able to help. I understand we do have some video of those homes up on El Carrizo Road that were burning earlier. We were trying to get up there again, but it's just not safe for us to do so. The firefighters did tell us that once the fire around us starts to lay down a little bit, we might be able to get up there and see what damage was done earlier today. But OC officials did declare a local state of emergency because of the severity and the length and the growth of this fire. And then lawmakers additionally asked the governor to do so as he did in the line fire, which really frees up financial and other support as firefighters and local officials continue to try and get a hold of this. But so much going on. You know, the Orange County Fire Chief spoke earlier of the real competition for resources at this moment, because Southern California is dealing with so many major fires that crews are really being stretched to their limits, and there's just so much to handle. And we have certainly been watching that today. I mean, this is, up here to the left, you can see just how close these flames are to the street. Let's walk up maybe a little to the right just to get away, but that's kind of an example of how unpredictable these flames are. 1 minute, you know, everything seems calm, and then the next, they're right up on us. Oh, here comes maybe some air support. You might be able to hear it as well. But again, with this smoke, I can't even see where it is at this point. Another look at the home that is burning over here to the right. Oh, there it goes. Good look. Oh, it's dropping water. That's very good to see, because this is such an enormous fire that they are really going to need as much support as they can get from the air. I mean, hand crews will do what they can, but, you know, I mean, this is just so expansive that it's going to take much more than that. It's going to really take a cooperative effort. I'm kind of losing my voice here, so I'm going to throw it back to you guys for the moment.
All right. Seems like such a daunting task to do out there, Pat, right?
No question about that. And I was going to ask Lori, but we're going to let her go, the fire support that is around her, because she seems awfully close. You know, when we were looking at the fire on the street there right behind her. So we'll get back to Lori in just a second, though.
All right, now to the bridge fire burning in the San Gabriel Mountains.
And this fire just exploded in size tonight. It's now threatening the resort community of Wrightwood. That's where a lot of people enjoy skiing. KCAL assignment editor Mike Rogers live at the desk now. Mike?
Yeah, and you know, Pat and Juan, unfortunately, I can tell you, we've just got some new video in. We're going to wait for it. I think it's coming online here in a second. Excuse me, of homes burning near Wrightwood. Look at this brand new video. You can see that appears to be a very large home that is now burning in the bridge fire. The bridge fire, again, as you mentioned, has absolutely exploded in size to more than 30,000 acres. I also want to touch really quickly as you look at really incredible flames coming out of that home right there, that building right there. The California governor has requested a FEMA grant from the federal government to help with the bridge and airport fires. I know Lori was talking about that. He's already done that with the line fire. He's now doing this, asking for this in the bridge and the airport fire. And again, really dramatic video. This is right near the Mountain High Resort where this was taken. I want to show you some other video from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. They put this video out. This is also in the Wrightwood area. You can see those crews going up and down the street here. You also see the flames very, very close. And unfortunately, we do know now that homes have been burning. Now, earlier this afternoon or this evening tonight in our 7 o'clock hour, we were able to talk with a small business owner owner. Wrightwood is full of nothing but small business owners. That is how that community thrives. She owns a couple of properties, a couple of small hotels up there. I want you to take a listen about her experience evacuating today.
It got really smoky probably around 1:30. By 2:45, it was extremely dark. By 3:15, I was texting my husband, telling him to get home and we got to get going. We have, 5 animals, and we live on the ridge on Upper Oriole on the fire line. It got a little scary. Nothing that we've done before. We have been under evacuation warnings in the past, but this was the emergency evacuation, and we were able to get out. I do see that the internet is still up. I can see all the cameras on all the properties. Fire personnel is knocking on all the doors. We're completely evacuated out of the 3 properties.
Yeah, and you can hear it kind of in her voice. Obviously, a very traumatic time for them and what they're dealing with. And again, that is just, how that community makes their livelihood. I want to come to my computer really quick because I want to show you. This is a screenshot. This camera is now offline as a result of the fire. But look at the chair lifts in this still picture here from one of the cameras. This is one of the mountain high cameras. And unfortunately, we're talking about a very popular resort that likely will have a great deal of damage going through it. I want to show you here actually the map. This is the map that we use for these wildfire cameras. There are 6 cameras that are now offline as a result of the fire. This one right here is really one of the only ones that is left. And you can see just how kind of charred. It doesn't even look real, to be honest with you, the way that the fire has just pushed through here. This is a time lapse over the last 3 hours. And it just, it's taken 6 cameras offline. You can see those large flames. This one is still hanging on for now. But unfortunately, I really think we have entered kind of the area where we are going to be dealing with some very significant damage here. I want to show you, this is a CAL FIRE map. What you're looking at in the red, this is the area that is already burned. This is 34,000 acres that has already burned here. And I want to show you as we come up into the northern part of it, these are the areas. Anything in these white dots you see, these are homes, these are structures. This is along Angeles Crest Highway. That highway that has had fire damage, had storm damage in the past, is now kind of right in this area, Blue Ridge Truck Trail. And again, look how close we are to the community of Wrightwood. This red area right here is where the fire has burned. The community of Wrightwood is right here. And I also want to point out, this mapping is done from a FIRUS aircraft that is up in the area. And this information, naturally, just because the sun has gone down, they're not doing that at this moment. So the data will come later once they're able to get back up there and map it. But we're at about 34,000 acres. And unfortunately, from that video we just got into the newsroom, there are structures that are being lost in the community of Wrightwood.
Hey, guys, can we discuss here just a little bit about what those FEMA grants will do? Because when we hear, well, we've applied for emergency funds, they've declared a state of emergency. That's federal emergency management, obviously, for FEMA. So that will allow us to get firepower or help from other markets, other states?
Yeah, so a lot of it is reimbursement. So it's the federal government is going to help us with the bill for all of this, really. I should point out the line fire, the bridge fire, and even the airport fire all burned through federally owned land. They're all in U.S. Forest Service, the Cleveland National Forest, Angeles National Forest. So we've already got federal firefighting resources. The FEMA grants will allow us to get money to help foot the bill for this, because as you can imagine, this is going to be just an incredible cost to everybody.
And it's a good thing the governor already applied for that so quickly for all those fires.
Okay, well, let's go to the San Bernardino Mountains, where homes are burning in Running Springs tonight, and the western half of Big Bear Lake is evacuating.
KCAL News reporter Nicole Comstock live in Running Springs with the latest for us. Nicole?
You guys, firefighters have been out here at the line fire in San Bernardino County for 6 full days now, fighting this fire in extreme heat with thunderstorms out here, making this fire helping it to be driven by the wind to push it in multiple different directions. And today they had just their typical upslope winds that were burning to the north and the east and helped the line fire burn into the community of Running Springs. If you take a look behind us here, you can see these trees down here in the canyon that are still smoldering after the fire burned through this area earlier this evening. It's a really devastating drive up here along the 330 now. These beautiful mountains here are completely blackened. Lots of the guardrails along the 330, the wooden parts of them have burned down, so that'll be a large construction project once this fire is finished. And unfortunately, we did lose a home out here during the line fire. That was near Pinecone Drive and the 330 today. And when you watch this video of firefighters out there trying to, put out the rest of what was left of it, listen to the wind. That'll paint a picture of what they were dealing with out here with these fire conditions. Firefighters made a stand in this neighborhood, but unfortunately they could not save that home. The good news is it looks like everyone was already out of that neighborhood into a safe location. The line fire started Thursday in Highland. Now it's all the way to the east of that, heading toward Big Bear. Although CAL FIRE told me tonight there's still quite a distance between the flames and Big Bear Valley. However, there are people there under mandatory evacuation orders in some areas. So if you are under those, it's best to get out now while it's still safe to do so. Only one way out down the 18 since the other roads are shut down. The line fire is now 32,000 acres in size and about 14% contained, but still very active out here. There are currently 65,000 structures, including homes that are threatened, over 9,000 people under evacuation orders, and 56,000 more under warnings. So just an incredible amount of people that are affected by this fire. It was burning most actively today to the north and the east. Red flag warning was in effect until 8 o'clock. Really intense winds, low humidity, and extremely dry vegetation. Firefighters overnight are working on creating control lines and protecting as many homes as they can in these communities the fire is burning the closest to. Tomorrow morning, they're expecting to get some more aircraft out here. Right now, it seems like they're dealing with just really heavy smoke out here. And more than likely, some of their air resources have been diverted to the other fires we have going on nearby. We spoke with a couple of neighbors a short time ago who were really just blown away by how fast the fire moved to Running Springs today. Take a listen.
I was going to evacuate to Big Bear, but now they shut that down. The only way out of here, from what I understand, is Highway 18. And that's it.
It's crazy. We have so many trees and some brush around the houses, and with these hot embers, look out.
They evacuated us. They were going to start stopping the fire on the end of our property. We got to the bottom of the street. It came ripping through here, and we heard a couple bangs, and we knew it was a house. Leveled it. Yeah, all you see is posts up there.
So sad for those homeowners. Most of Running Springs does look pretty good. You can see behind us here, the guardrails along the 330 are completely covered in fire retardant. Actually, a lot of the town is, so a lot of the businesses, they look safe here in town. They're pink now as well. So firefighters did the best job they could to prevent flames from making it all the way there. The governor declared it a state of emergency out here on this fire a couple of days ago because of how much acreage was being burned, how many people were being evacuated. That allowed some more resources to come in, like the National Guard, like 4 more Black Hawk helicopters. The Sheriff's Department also said they have deputies in undercover units in these evacuated neighborhoods to make sure that they don't have to deal with anything like looting out here. We know that's always a concern for homeowners, especially in these small, really close-knit mountain communities when they're evacuated for these big fires. One other really sad thing we did hear from this fire is that the oldest continuous serving fire lookout in the San Bernardino National Forest, which is the Keller Peak Fire Lookout, it did burn today in this fire. It looks like it has been destroyed. So there are a lot of people commenting about how sad that is to lose a piece of local history. A lot of the resources from this fire tonight, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, were being sent to the west of us at the bridge fire. It was kind of crazy seeing that when we're driving out here to Running Springs tonight, seeing the smoke just cover such a widespread area for the bridge fire, and knowing that there's not that much space in between these two fires. So many people under these evacuation warnings and orders, and a lot of people in the foothill communities below them too that are concerned, looking up on the ridge line and seeing flames and wanting to make sure their homes are safe. Firefighters are out on the ground, they're in the air doing whatever they can to protect homes and make sure they can protect lives too. That's why they're telling people, get out of your neighborhood while it's still safe to do so. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you so much, Nicole and Juan. Of course, my mind goes to how many fires that we have covered in the Running Springs area. They've been hit so much with this kind of tragedy. But our fire coverage continues now with Desmond Shaw live in KCAL.
Desmond, what are you looking at right there?
Juan and Pat, this is going to be the bridge fire, the front side of the fire. And this wide shot here that we're shooting from San Dimas really kind of belies the size of this massive blaze. I believe it is the largest one that is burning right now. They're saying over 30,000 acres, which is just completely astounding. This is one of the western ends of the fire as it just chews up through all of the brush, the trees of these very steep uphill slopes. We're talking about the steepest slopes in Los Angeles County, where all of these, where this blaze really was able to take off. I'm going to put up the satellite overlay, and you're going to see Mount Baldy here, right there. That is Mount Baldy, the highest peak in Los Angeles County, I believe close to 11,000 feet. And you have all of these canyons. It's just kind of amazing how it's a really long distance from where this fire began in the hills behind Glendora, and now we're already talking that it made it to Wrightwood in less than 48 hours. That is really, really incredible stuff, even with the topography, and really not aided that much by wind. So when we had that official talking about how unpredictable fire is, they really were not joking. There are a couple of water dropping helicopters in this area, but really all they're going to be able to do tonight, I think, is try to corral flanks of fire like this right here on the southern end, the ones that are the closest to flames. I believe we have seen some water dropping helicopters in this area, but I was talking about the size of this fire. When we attempted to fly to the north side of the mountains before sunset, we could see so much smoke pouring into the high desert, the Pinion Hills area. We weren't even able to make it to Wrightwood because the smoke just kind of crashed over those mountains and then down into some of the lower elevations of the high desert and towards Pear Blossom Highway. Now, I'm going to pan the camera over to the east because even from this far distance, here we can see the line fire way in the distance. That's about 40 or 50 miles worth of distance, just one small area of that fire as well. And as I put up the satellite overlay there as well, you can see Mount San Gorgonio there in the distance. There is the highest peak in Southern California, all of Southern California, and you can see that the fire is really not that far away from there. A couple of years ago, we did cover a fire that burned to the very top of Mount San Gorgonio. We had to climb to 13,000 feet to cover that blaze. I have to wonder if we're going to see a repeat of that scenario. I just showed you the earlier satellite overlay of the bridge fire and how you're talking about the highest peak in LA County and imminent threat of being burned. We know that the highest peak in Orange County burned last night and this morning, Santiago Peak, and that's Mount San Gorgonio that I just showed you that could also end up being affected. We'll just see how far that fire is able to spread. But now with these three blazes, so many firefighter resources being spread so thin that it's becoming very difficult for them to effectively fight any one of these fires right now. At least we haven't seen any loss of life, but we are beginning to see some structures threatened as we widen back out and point the lens back towards the bridge fire. We're having to look at this from a really far distance because not only do we not fly in the mountains at night for obvious reasons, but they put up these really huge temporary flight restrictions for all of the aircraft, and it extends a very, very far distance. So we're having to look at this one from a good 10 or 15 miles away from a lower altitude. Probably tomorrow afternoon we will be able to climb up very high depending on the smoke situation to see what damage has been wrought in these overnight hours. But we know that daylight cannot come soon enough to get these tankers back in the air to drop the fire retardant, because those are really the ones that have the capability of corralling these fires. The water drops, they're great, and they can definitely save homes, but when you're talking about a blaze that has grown this fast and become this large, we really need those air tankers in here as much as we can get them to really contain these blaze. Three huge ones burning completely out of control across all of the highest peaks in Southern California. Juan, Pat, and Mike, send it back to you now in the studio.
All right, as you said, at the tallest peak in LA County. No wonder you could see that from the San Fernando Valley on the freeway today.
That's right.
Huge plume of smoke. It was from that bridge fire. Okay, well, let's go to Robert Quezada now. He's a Wrightwood visitor, and he is live with us on the phone. Can you hear us, Robert?
Yes, I have a residence there.
You have a business in Wrightwood. Is that what you're saying?
Residence.
Oh, a residence. Okay, so you are actually staying there. Are you visiting from somewhere, though, even though you have a residence in Wrightwood? Did you come in from...
No, I have a home. I was watching it on the news, and I got a call from my neighbor who's out of town, and they say they're evacuating Wrightwood. I called my neighbor, and he said he can talk to evacuating. And my girlfriend came home, and we instantly drove up there. I just wanted to get my motorcycle out of the garage and get some things. When I got there, it was about 5:30, 6 o'clock. All the cars were from 138 all the way back to town, one long line.
Wow, but where are you now, Mr. Quesada?
I'm in Palmdale. I got out because when I got there, they wouldn't let me to my street, which is on the west side of town, the second to the last street. So I went the back way, knowing I could walk across the ravine to get to my street. When I did that, the fireman swarmed me and said, "You got to go." And at that time, I looked up. The fire was on the ridge across the street, and the winds were really swirling. And they said, "You got to go now." And I ran back to my car, got him in the car, and headed back. But I want to praise those firemen. They were all over the place and making sure the homes were protected as well as possible. My neighbor sent me a link. There was a fire at the bottom of the hill on Highway 2 at Flume, which is one street over, and that was all on fire.
And Mr. Quesada, do you know whether your home is okay at this time?
Yes, I'm at home. I have my security cameras on. I'm checking them periodically, and I see no action. I see no fire trucks in front of my house that tells me there's no fire around my house
So
at this point.
So that's good news. That means the utilities are up, at least the Wi-Fi is working, and you can see your cameras are showing you that the area around your house, at least for now, is safe, right?
Yes, hopefully it stays that way. I've been to two fires, and that's the side of town, and they knocked them out so quick. So I have great praise for our firefighters to protect our homes. You can't save everybody, but this is the worst. I've been there for 12 years. This is the worst. I've ever seen. How dark and red. It just...
We're sorry that you have to watch this, Mr. Quesada, but at least thank goodness that your home is okay. What about your neighbors? Can you see their homes around you? Is it the area where you are that's been relatively safe?
Yes. When I saw, the only flames I saw was on the hillside next to the homes at the last street, and that was it. And the firefighters were looking north at the peak, seeing if the flames were coming over. So that's when they told me, "You got to get out of here. You can't go to your house. You got to go." So the drive there was for naught, but I'm glad I got to see the street intact for now, and they're doing what they do. The
Absolutely.
Are up there. Everybody's up there. They got to the town buttoned down. We were one of the last people to leave, but that line out of that town was long, all the way from 138 all into town, one line.
I think you said, are you with your girlfriend?
Yes.
Well, that's good.
Yes.
All right. So Mr. Quesada, then the good thing here is that your home is still intact. You got out and you are with somebody that you care about. So you guys are together. Wondering.
Absolutely.
Okay. We just want to count those little blessings when we can get them. So just wanted to point that out to you. Was there any way that you could get something that you really needed? And I'm thinking in terms of medicine or really important papers? Was that something that was very important to you or not?
Well, the few things I wanted to get out, I have real tapes of my music from my entire life. So I wanted to get those tapes out of there. I wasn't able to do that. And my almost new Can-Am motorcycle is in the garage. I was trying to get that out too. But it's still there. So hopefully we'll be okay.
Indeed.
Well, keep us posted, Mr. Gasala.
You got it. And
All right.
God bless our firefighters.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, critical fire weather is with us at least through tomorrow.
And KCAL meteorologist Evelyn Taft has our next weather forecast. Evelyn, we left here last night, didn't expect that this was going to happen today.
Nope, absolutely not. I mean, we are really, none of us, even in the last few hours, we've seen these changes. And here we are in Lake Elsinore, right? And we are getting a look at the current conditions. And as we do, you'll see 83 degrees along the fire line. So it's still really warm. And remember, we are tracking 3 fires at the moment, but we are taking a look at the latest conditions in Lake Elsinore, where wind is calm and humidity is at 33%. So, of course, with evacuations happening, smoke continues to be a concern, along with fire and people leaving the area. For example, we were just talking about residents in Wrightwood. Well, I personally know a friend who just left Wrightwood, went to Palm Springs to try to get away, of course, and vacate and evacuate. And they're dealing with smoke in the Coachella Valley, and pretty bad smoke. So really, anywhere you go in Southern California, we're looking at really tough conditions, even if you're not along the immediate fire line. Let's take a closer look at what's happening right here, and you will see wind is mostly calm, and it's slated to stay calm throughout the night for the most part. Wrightwood, we are seeing wind gusts, which is not good, of course, because that is really where we want to see calm conditions wind-wise. And right now we're at 19 miles per hour. I'm going to step off and show you relative humidity right now. We're in the single digits in Malibu. Of course, no fire to speak of, and we want to keep it that way, but we don't want single-digit relative humidity. We do want relative humidity to be in the double digits, and generally speaking, that is the case tonight. We're at 36% for Big Bear, and as we head to the IE, you're going to see we're mostly in the 20 to 30% range. Air quality continues to be a big concern for all of us through the San Gabriel Valley, the LA County mountains right there, Orange County, and all of the IE, predominantly through Riverside County, also through San Bernardino County. The Coachella Valley, we're looking at very poor air quality, and that air quality alert has now been extended through tomorrow night. So that wildfire smoke is continuing to increase air pollution at least through then. So certainly be careful if you plan to be outside. As we take a look at your futurecast right here, you will see the heaviest smoke starting to come through the IE and continuing. This has been the case the last couple of hours, and it will continue to be the case as we head into the next couple of hours. You'll see the worst of the smoke through the Inland Empire and through our Santa Ana Mountain and foothill communities as well. Let's take a closer look at that red flag warning. Yes, it remains in effect for the LA County mountains, but pretty much critical fire weather really stays with us through tomorrow night. Wind speeds calm with the exception of the high desert. We're keeping our eyes on the high desert where we are looking at windy conditions for the next couple of days. Good news as far as the firefight goes, and we always want to hear good news, is temperatures are really starting to cool. They cooled today, and they're going to continue to cool tomorrow. You'll notice right here that we were about 10 degrees cooler on average, even more so. Pasadena, 21 degrees cooler. This is really now compared to this time last night. It's going to continue to cool. We're looking at southerly winds. That's your marine layer that's going to come in and keep temperatures nice and cool compared to where we've been. We're already in the 60s closer to the coast. And as we head into the basin, Orange County in the 70s, far departure from the 80s and 90s we are seeing in the overnight hours. The IE, as we mentioned, in the 80s tonight, and we will start to see a little more cooling overnight. Palm Springs, though, at a hot 100. And yes, we are looking at smoke through the Coachella Valley. As we look at my next weather 7-day forecast, I just want to focus on that cool down, and I just want to let you know a light at the end of the tunnel as far as critical fire weather goes. It's going to be 10 to even 20 degrees below average for this time of year over the coming days. So a huge drop in temperatures, and we need that right about now. Pat, Juan, back to you.
What a difference in temperatures.
Oof.
Evelyn, thank you so much. Well, homes were also being destroyed by the airport fire tonight.
And our Lori Perez is live on the Riverside County side of that fire in Lake Elsinore and hopefully breathing a little better. Hey, Lori.
Yeah.
Trying to, at least. The first thing I want to show you, though, is the street behind us. It might still be a little wet because just a few minutes ago, air support did fly overhead and make a drop. They were trying to get a hold of those flames across the street there that were really flaring up and threatening to go even larger into some of the trees around there. That same air support, we watched really amazingly as it went over this house over here across the street here that caught fire about an hour ago and with amazing precision made 2 drops. It circled around, made a drop, circled back, got water, came back, made another drop with amazing precision right on top of that property. Unfortunately, you know, not enough to save it. You can see really just the shell of that house remains. Looking up the hill, really just the skeleton of the house. But they did make the drop to try and get a hold of the fire. You know, this is really, we are in the thick of it. You know, as many fires as I've covered, I have to say this is about as close to the front lines as we have ever been. And watching these firefighters work has really been remarkable. They are really on top of it. To the right here, you might be able to see a ground crew here. We've been watching as they have been spraying water on some of the fires in this little valley that keep igniting and getting bigger and larger. You might be able to hear all of these fire trucks that are going up and down this mountain. Again, we are on the Ortega Highway, just outside of Lake Elsinore's downtown. We were heading up, trying to get up to a neighborhood, El Carrizo Street, where we understood that there were some fires that were burning down houses across the street. You can see this hillside, which is ignited, has also come unbelievably close to a house over there. It's kind of difficult to see because of all the smoke, but maybe where you can see those emergency lights, that's where more firefighters are stationed as they try and prevent the flames from getting to a house that's up there. We walked up there to see what we could see. It was kind of difficult. That property is pretty steep, so we couldn't really see much, but we could see firefighters were in the backyard, really on alert, making sure that the flames didn't get any closer to the house, at least not yet. But that sound and that side of that air support is certainly very welcome. This fire, again, this morning was about 8,000 acres, and by tonight, last check, which I'm sure it has grown since then, but last check it was 19,000 acres, more than 19,000 acres, 500 plus firefighters, 110 fire engines all assigned to this, and they probably likely need more because there are fires everywhere we look around here, and it's just so expansive and growing so quickly that they really need all the help that they can get. And you know, it has been remarkable, I will say again, to really see them this close, to see what they are trying to do to get control and to keep it. We can understand why there are so many evacuations, because even in the time that we have been here, we've seen how unpredictable and fickle this fire has been. You know, we got here, there was no fire over here. Now that's totally engulfed, including that house. We got here, there was a little fire over here, not much. Now this is totally engulfed. I mean, this is what these guys are going to have to deal with. It's what they have been dealing with since yesterday. Orange County lawmakers did declare a state of emergency. We understand now the governor is also declaring a state of emergency, which will, of course, open up other tools, financial and other support as they continue to try and battle this blaze. Guys, back to you.
Indeed, the firefight continues, resources are strained, and hopefully more help is on the way. Thank you, Lori. All right, here's another live look at the airport fire, this time from the Orange County side.
And we do have a crew live on the ground in the Robinson Ranch neighborhood of Rancho Santa Margarita, and you can see some flames burning on a hillside above those homes. I remember talking about this area yesterday when we were on the air, Juan and Mike, and there were mandatory evacuations in place. Obviously, people have still left, let's hope so, because even just looking at those flames, they still look relatively close. Looks like they're far away right now, but that could change at any moment. And we were witnessing this yesterday.
As we saw it in Lori's report there, very quick, very
On
a
the
lot of
other
changes.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
just that glow over the hillside has got to be concerning for homeowners, and
For sure.
over the course of 2 counties, which is kind of crazy as well.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at that shot. I wonder if they have power in the area because I didn't see many lights
No
on in
lights
that
on.
home.
Yeah, that's a very good possibility too. We'll have to check with Southern California Edison. And you guys were also talking about the bridge fire, which is burning in the Angeles National Forest. And I want to show you some new video here from my computer. We'll go to that really quick if we can. This is from the Mountain High Ski Resort. This is one of their cameras. This is a chairlift right here. And I want to show you this camera. All of their cameras, by the way, are now offline. But you can see the intense flames burning right up against the chairlift there. I noticed in one of the other videos that we were looking at as well, Mountain High in the winter, right? If it's cold enough, they can make snow, right? And that is done by pumping water through these very big pumps. Look at the flames on the right side of the screen. They're just really crazy. They had those on. Obviously, they're not trying to make snow, but they're trying to do what they can to try to protect their equipment themselves from the flames. But look at that flames just ripping through. And again,
I mean, since you've been talking, the flames have gotten even bigger.
That's what's been remarkable. And, I had to check on these cameras to make sure it wasn't a time lapse, because some of the other cameras are time lapse. This is not a time lapse camera. These are just the intensity and the speed of these flames that are just absolutely, look at that, incredible. And how tall the flame lengths are.
Oh my, it's like they're creating their own fire, which we know can happen.
Right, fire, weather, absolutely. I mean, just the sheer force of it. And, look, as much as, the Mountain High is trying, and God bless them for doing it, the snowmakers, unfortunately, are not going to be able to stop this. This is what they've been worried about. And again, as I mentioned, they've got a number of cameras there at Mountain High that are all offline. And we talk about the Wrightwood community. That is a community that relies on businesses like this. This is a tourist destination. The ski resort, in particular, is probably their largest tourist destination. Moneymaker. And not only for them, but for the Airbnbs, the small hotels, the restaurants, everything like that, that relies so heavily on them. Now, I also had a chance to speak with, in the 7 o'clock hour, I called a business up there, a hotel. Just kind of looked at the map, picked one and called it. And she said, look, they've been evacuated. They got out actually before the evacuation warnings came in because they saw kind of the writing on the wall here. I want you to take a listen to what she had to say about the community of Wrightwood and about what this is going to mean for them.
I am in the hospitality, and vacation rental industry. It's extremely heartbreaking because the reason I started the business was to share this town with other people.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, it's very heartbreaking.
Yeah, you can hear it in her voice there. She got out safely, thankfully.
Yes.
And like we heard from that other gentleman, she was watching kind of what was going down on her security cameras at her properties. At the time that we had talked to her in the 7 o'clock hour, those things were okay. But you look at some of these pictures. This is also a new video into the newsroom here of the fire burning in Wrightwood and what firefighters are up against over there. And it's very devastating, especially for a community like that.
And the impact it's going to have on the upcoming snow season, right?
Yeah.
Because you have, if the chairlifts are down, if the trees are burned, I mean, the beauty of being up there is
It's such a
seeing the
quaint,
snow fall.
beautiful
on the
community.
trees.
And I hate to be Debbie Downer, but you know what we've been talking about even before these fires started? Insurance.
Oh, yeah.
For goodness sakes. And how insurance rates have gone up incredibly. And looking at something like this, if you own a home or business, you've got to feel, oh, come on now, I've got to catch a break.
Well, and you talk about the long-lasting, impacts of this too. I mean, this winter we're going to be talking about mudslides. We're going to be talking about the potential, the damage that rainfall is going to do to that community. It's just something when
burn scars.
Yeah, when you have images like this, I mean, this is years, if not longer, that these guys are going to be having to deal with this.
Ken, let's refresh our viewers' minds right now, and even ours, in terms of it's been difficult with air power.
Yeah.
Because of how blinding the smoke is.
Yeah, I mean, look, KCAL is certainly not a firefighting helicopter, but I tried to get him around here to the Mountain High, to the Wrightwood, to the Pinion area, and we couldn't do it. The smoke was just too intense. We've seen that down in Lake Elsinore as well, where Lori was. Even the night dropping helicopters, those are done using night vision goggles.
Right.
But they can't see through smoke.
Still too dangerous. Yeah.
Right. The smoke. I mean, we're thankful that there is no wind, right? But that or not a lot of wind, but that lack of wind is also keeping the smoke in place and making it harder for those firefighting helicopters to really kind of do what they need to do. And then we talk about at nighttime, there is no, aircraft, fixed wing aircraft that are able to be up there because of the danger at night. So it's a real tough situation, all topography driven until you get into these valleys where you have the communities like Wrightwood.
And hopefully, well, we have to bear it overnight.
Yep.
Until daylight comes and they can get some more firepower out there in terms of water dropping choppers, fire retardant, whatever tools that are necessary that are able to fly. And the fact that Evan's been talking about our temperatures going down, that will be helpful for sure.
Yeah, certainly helpful. And, the sun comes up and we will get those aircraft in the air, but we're competing. This is one of 3 major fires in our area and 3 of other major fires across Northern California and even Northern Nevada is dealing with a really big fire right now as well, with those resources are getting pulled over there.
At daybreak, we're going to see a lot of damage from this fire for sure.
Yep.
Okay, guys. Well, let's move on here to the San Bernardino Mountains where homes are burning in Running Springs tonight. And the western half of Big Bear Lake is evacuating.
Let's go to KCAL News reporter Nicole Comstock live in Running Springs with the latest. Nicole.
You guys, the line fire has been burning now for 6 days, and fire crews have been out here that entire time dealing with extreme heat out here, over 100 degrees on some days, and super dry conditions. Look at how dry the grass is here. This is just a little bit of the brush that we're dealing with. You can also see down behind us in the hillside here, the fire blazed right through this canyon here in Running Springs earlier today, and now these are all trees that are still smoldering. Unfortunately, we did lose a home out here earlier this evening. That was near Pine Cone Drive in the 330. And you can really just hear the winds in this video here that we're going to send you to give you an idea of how intense it was, the conditions that firefighters were dealing with earlier this evening. Take a listen. And firefighters did make a stand in this neighborhood, but unfortunately, they couldn't save that home there from burning. The line fire started Thursday in Highland. Now it's headed toward Big Bear Valley, although CAL FIRE says it's not quite there yet, so there's still quite a bit of distance between the flames in that area. The line fire is about 32,000 acres in size, so it grew again today, 14% contained. So we have made some progress, but it's still really windy out here, and that was the problem today with the wind pushing the fire to the north and the east and getting here to Running Springs. There are currently about 65,000 structures threatened, 9,000 people under evacuation orders, and another 56,000 people under evacuation warnings. There was a red flag warning today until 8 o'clock. Again, the low humidity, the dry vegetation, that's making it difficult for firefighters to create control lines out here and protect homes. We talked to a couple of homeowners just a short time ago about how fast this fire moved into Running Springs earlier this evening. Take a listen to them.
I was going to evacuate to Big Bear, but now they shut that down. The only way out of here, from what I understand, is Highway 18, and that's it.
It's crazy. We have so many trees and some brush around the houses, and with these hot embers, look out.
They evacuated us. They were going to start stopping the fire on the end of our property. We got to the bottom of the street, it came ripping through here, and we heard a couple bangs, and we knew it was a house. Leveled it. Yeah, all you see is posts up there.
So unfortunate to see when firefighters aren't able to get control of those flames. They did do a really good job of protecting Running Springs. A lot of the town here is just coated with this pink fire retardant, including much of the guardrails here along the 330. The town itself, all of the businesses here in Running Springs look really good. So we want to let everyone know it's not like there's a lot of damage here to a lot of homes or a lot of businesses. All we've seen so far is that one home that was completely destroyed, but then just a ton of the, beautiful landscape out here that's completely blackened now. A lot of guardrails along the 330 on the way up here. The wooden parts of those were burned down, so that will be a huge construction project once the fire has finished burning through here. Gavin Newsom already declared a state of emergency in San Bernardino County several days ago, so that allowed them to activate the National Guard in this area, to help bring more Black Hawk helicopters, to have just more boots on the ground to help sheriff's deputies too. Small mountain towns like this they don't like evacuating to begin with, especially not when they're worried about their homes being safe. They're always kind of worried about looting or anyone coming to look around in their neighborhood. The sheriff's department says people don't have to worry about that. They even have undercover units out here making sure that none of that takes place. And they say if it does, people will be arrested and prosecuted accordingly. Another, sad note, another piece of destruction we've seen out here, posts online from people who are closely connected to the oldest continuous serving fire lookout in the San Bernardino National Forest, which is the Keller Peak Fire Lookout. That was destroyed in the flames too today when they, made that northeastern push and made their way into Running Springs. Some of the resources from this fire, we had a lot more aerial resources earlier today. Some of them have been sent over to the bridge fire just west of us here. For tonight, the ground crews will really be monitoring the flames out here and continuing to build containment lines, continuing to defend any homes. And again, they say that the fire is making its way into the area, making its way toward Big Bear Valley. So lots of people there in a portion of Big Bear Valley are now also under evacuation orders. People there, if you've been told to go, fire officials say you should definitely leave now, because if you've learned anything from what happened out here today, these winds are really erratic when they pick up, and they're uncertain, where the fire is going to go next. So if they're telling you it's coming into your neighborhood, it's best to just leave now when it's still safe to do so. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Some good advice there, Nicole. Thank you. Well, critical fire weather will be with us at least through tomorrow.
And here's KCAL meteorologist Evelyn Taft with our next weather forecast. I can't wait to see those numbers. They look better.
They're going to look a lot better, Pat and Juan. Temperatures are cooling drastically as we head to tomorrow, and that is great news as far as the firefight is concerned, even though we're still looking at critical fire conditions and red flag warnings in effect through tomorrow. So we don't want to let our guards down. And of course, we're still contending with 3 fires burning through Southern California. And again, conditions will get better, so that will certainly help in the firefight. Right now, we're looking at 19-mile-per-hour wind gusts for Wrightwood. That is really the only spot. Looking at gusts, of course, Wrightwood, we don't want to see that wind right now, but it will get calmer overnight. No other gusts to speak of. Of course, it's a different story on the fire lines where we've been talking about fire creating its own forecast, and it does because we have updraft winds, downdraft winds, and when that happens, we start to get a little bit of rotation, and that creates its own fire weather right there. So sometimes when you look at a fire line, you will see it does look windy, and you start to see that rotation up above the ridge tops. So at the moment, again, lower elevations anywhere around the fire, it is calm, and it is slated to stay calm at this point. Relative humidity, a big piece of the pie, because of course we want to see relative humidity in the double digits. We don't want to see single digits, and we certainly don't want to see teens. So we're mostly out of double digits, teens and single digits. We are in the double digits tonight, and we will see recoveries continue overnight as southerly winds move in, and we're going to see a little more moisture in the air. These are your marine, sort of that marine influence that comes in. That's going to make us cooler, and that's going to bring a little more moisture into the forecast as well. So it'll help relative humidity, and it will cool temperatures down. We do have that air quality alert that's remaining in effect through tomorrow night. It could get extended as these fires continue to burn. We are looking at pretty bad air quality through parts of Orange County. Not all of Orange County, but parts at the moment. We're looking at bad air quality through our Santa Ana Mountain and Foothill communities, also through parts of the IE and the San Gabriel Valley. And as winds continue to shift and smoke continues to move, we could see spots get worse or get better depending on the winds, where the winds are. As we get a look at your future cast, you will see right here, we're looking at some of that thick smoke, and the thickest smoke is still sitting through the IE and will continue to. This has been the last couple of hours. Now, as we continue into the next couple of hours, it will continue to trend in the IE. Red, yep, that means thick smoke, and that's what we're going to continue to contend with through tomorrow. Red also means red flag warning, which is just critical fire danger. It's hot, dry, and yes, breezy. Thankfully, we're not looking at widespread wind advisories, but we do have some going up tomorrow, lasting through Thursday for the South Coast. That's over Santa Barbara County, and for the high desert as well. So we will continue to track the wind. We're tracking cooler temperatures, already much cooler tonight compared to this time last night. 16 degrees cooler, Burbank, Pasadena 20. So you're really noticing temperatures cooler for the most part, with the exception of Big Bear, where we are slightly warmer tonight compared to this time last night. Temperatures all across town in the 60s and 70s. Again, this is just so much cooler than where we've been, and this is great news as far as the firefight is concerned. So we will continue to stay positive as we move into the overnight hours and tomorrow. As that wind starts to come in, that southerly surge, the marine layer and the cooler temperatures. Again, not gusty wind, but a sea breeze that will keep things just a little cooler across the board, even inland. Still contending with warm weather tonight. And as we get a look at that extended forecast for the weekend, you will see temperatures taking quite the dip. More, of course, on that extended forecast, and we're going to continue to keep our eyes peeled on the fire lines. I do want to give you a little piece, leave you with a little nugget of good news. We were talking about cooling through tomorrow, but take a look. This cool down will last for the next 6 to 10 days. In fact, by next week, we could see numbers 10 to 20 degrees below average with maybe, just maybe, a few showers. At this point, we will absolutely take that. Pat, Juan, back to you.
You said it. Evelyn, thank you. Now to the bridge fire burning in the San Gabriel Mountains.
Now, this fire just exploded in size tonight, even more, and it's now threatening the reserve community of Wrightwood. We've been showing you pictures, but KCAL assignment editor Mike Rogers live at the desk. He has new pictures of this fire.
Yeah, and actually, Pat and Juan, excuse me, they are live pictures. Our photographer just got up into the Wrightwood community. I want to show you his live pictures there from the ground. This is the community that has been under an evacuation order. We're working on to get those photos for you, or those live pictures for you, rather, here in a minute. But I do have another piece of brand new video that has come into the newsroom. This was sent to us by a viewer who was evacuated from their homes. I want you to take a listen to this kind of chaotic scene. You can hear the messaging going on in that video. This is what, you remember our Nicole Comstock had talked about this. They equipped those patrol cars with those kind of specialized sirens, and you can hear absolutely how loud that is, especially in a canyon. And it's just, I got to point out, this is about 4 in the afternoon, and how eerie everything looks. It's, yeah, you guys are right. It's dark. It's just so smoky. That's been like the real kind of common theme here. We've got some other video that we can show you that's coming to the newsroom tonight, and unfortunately, it does show those homes that have burned down. Unfortunately, lots of structures in this kind of situation here in the Wrightwood area. We, of course, as we've been talking about, we'll have to kind of wait until tomorrow, where we can get daylight hours, kind of get a better grasp on exactly how much damage was done. But look at that, just this inferno coming out of those buildings and those homes there as they deal with all of this. And of course, we talked about the ski resort of Wrightwood Mountain High that appears to have some damage as well that we looked at from their cameras too. So just a really kind of incredible issue and situation going on up there. We feel for the people up there. And of course, we're hoping that a lot of people got evacuated out of that. And not just in the Wrightwood community, but even beyond, even to the north on the San Bernardino County side in the high desert, there is also, evacuations up there. So we're talking now even beyond the mountain that they are concerned about, which is just kind of wild to think the progress that the fire has made.
There's no question about that. And Mike, just have to say, if you've never, I'm glad we have that video.
Yeah.
If you've never heard that yourself, it is really something to hear those sirens go through your neighborhood and be on the loudspeaker telling you to evacuate immediately. It is sobering. And even those pictures of these flames, that's a reminder. That's what they don't want to see. They don't want you to witness what could possibly happen in your neighborhood when they come around like that. It looks calm right now. It's just very smoky, but looking at those flames that's top of mind for them as well.
And look how much brush is close to this home here too, which we've seen a lot of it over the last few weeks.
Well, and there's a reason they go around and still do this, old school style, I'll say, where they take a patrol car through, because all of the cameras that we're using to monitor these have gone offline because of power outages or fire damage or what have you. Cell phone signals can go offline because of these issues. So that's the good old fashioned drive through the neighborhood and blare the siren and try to get people out of there.
And even if that happens overnight. Witness to that. If you wake up and hear something like that, well, that's letting you know, okay, it's time to go.
And hopefully everyone has kind of already, heeded the warning and gotten out of there, and hopefully there's no surprises in the overnight hours.
Yeah, we do hope that.
Yeah.
You know, as we talk to Evelyn more and more and hear about the temperatures going down, the marine layer, all that, and we hope that that happens. Okay, we want to show you what we've been talking about on our map here. We have 3 major fires burning in our area. That bridge fire in the San Gabriel Mountains above Glendora. We've been talking about it just growing to 34,000 acres tonight, and it has burned all the way to Wrightwood. As you saw pictures there, we're also watching the line fire that's above Highland in the San Bernardino Mountains. And they have evacuations in order tonight in the city of Big Bear Lake. And the airport fire, which began in Trabuco Canyon in Orange County, has now burned across the tops of the Santa Ana Mountains, and it is burning homes in the Lake Elsinore area as we speak in Riverside County. Right, Mike?
Yeah, homes, and it also, as it came through the Cleveland National Forest, also chewed up a California Conservation Corps area as well, which just this whole thing has just been so surprising to see the amount of progress that the fire has made. Just yesterday, this fire started in the 1 o'clock hour. It has already chewed through a significant portion of the Cleveland National Forest as it pushes through now to the Riverside County side. And I can tell you around 2 o'clock this afternoon, 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon is when we heard about the structure burning of the California Conservation Corps, which is in the middle of the forest there. And then it continued on, and around 5 o'clock, we had already heard that it was burning homes in the Lake Elsinore area, which is so far from where this fire started, which is what is kind of one of the most shocking things about this, of just the sheer progress that these fires are able to make. Not only that fire that we're talking about in the airport fire in Trabuco Canyon, the Glendora over the bridge fire, that has just chewed through a significant amount of area, 30,000 plus acres for both the bridge fire and the line fire, and then the airport fire, of course, chewing through a significant amount. And I want to point out on the left there, you see those flames kind of shooting around. That is from the Lake Elsinore side of the airport fire, where it appeared maybe propane tanks were going up, gas main lines going up as well. So a lot of kind of significant issues for firefighters to deal with. Not only are they trying to get people out of there, which we had heard that there were people that were unable to evacuate themselves that needed that help, but then additionally to have to deal with these kind of hazards that they're dealing with as well. As we wrap up our 9 o'clock hour, I want to give it over to Susie Suh, Chauncey Glover joining us here for KCAL News at 10 o'clock now.
All right, thank you, Mike. Good evening, everyone. I'm Susie Suh alongside Chauncey Glover, Mike Rogers on the desk, and Desmond Shaw in SkyCal tonight. We have been covering these 3 major wildfires burning in Southern California all day here on KCAL, and it has been a night of rapid fire growth, uncontrolled and dense flames in LA, Orange, and San Bernardino counties. Crews stretched thin, fighting 3 massive fires all at once.
And another night of intense fires here raging all across counties here in Southern California.
The airport fire spreading from Trabuco Canyon in Orange County now to Lake Elsinore. The line fire in San Bernardino County threatening Big Bear Lake tonight. We do have live team coverage for you. Let's get right to assignment editor Mike Rogers following the bridge fire in the San Gabriel Mountains. Mike.
Susie and Chauncey, just the sheer growth of that fire has really kind of been exceptional. I want to start, if we can, with live pictures. We just got a photographer up in that area who is kind of providing these live pictures, and look at that. You can actually see that fire burning. This is right off of the highway that goes through the town there, the Angeles National Forest, or Angeles Crest Highway, I should say, that goes through town there. And that's what they've been dealing with, and that's what's unfortunately kind of put us in this predicament that we're in right now with these fires. And there you go, more live pictures here, as it appears it might be a structure or an outbuilding of some sort that is burning there, and that is not the first time we've seen that. We've seen those homes burning as well. And what we've also seen, if we can come to my computer really quick, is this dramatic video from the ski resort. Look at that wall of flames that is just chewing through the ski resort there. That is obviously a chairlift in the center of the screen. Susie and Chauncey, I was noticing earlier when I was looking at these videos, the resort tried to turn on their snowmaking machines. Obviously, it's too hot to make snow, but it does it by shooting water into the air. And I saw that in some of their videos that they were trying to deal with that. We also talked with a Wrightwood resident. It's important to point out, Wrightwood is a tourism town. It's a tourism economy based largely on this ski resort. So the long-lasting impacts will be here for sure in this situation. And we talked to her about kind of what this means for this town.
I am in the hospitality, and vacation rental industry. It's extremely heartbreaking because the reason I started the business was to share this town with other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very heartbreaking.
Yeah, and you look at the wall of flames. This is video from a little bit earlier that is just kind of pouring through the area here of the town of Wrightwood. And I want to ask if we can go back to those live pictures really quickly. I just want to check in one more time. This is kind of our first look at being able to get in there, and you see that just really incredible. There is just fire everywhere here, and unfortunately, it has just made quite the trek through the forest, the Angeles National Forest, and now we are watching things burn in this community, this very kind of, nice community. I think this is a community that people go to get away from the city, right? It's one of our gems that we have here where you don't have to go too far to get out of the city and go experience some of the forest. Same with Big Bear, where unfortunately we're also dealing with that as well, you guys. So it's just, there's a lot going on. You feel for the people that are up there that are constantly dealing with this, Susie and Chauncey.
Yeah, so heartbreaking to see that. All right, Mike, thank you very much. Well, homes also going up in flames in the airport fire. Our Lori Perez live tonight in the Riverside County side of the fire in Lake Elsinore. Lori.
Yes, we moved further up highway, the Ortega Highway, because we wanted to see what else we could see. If for locals or anyone who's familiar with the area, we're at the Lookout Roadhouse, and what a vista it has tonight. Take a look at the mountainside behind me, all of it just on fire. Anyone down below has to be looking up just in sheer amazement at the number of fires and the extent of the fire here in the mountains. And we came up this way because we wanted to head up towards El Carrizo Road, which is a neighborhood where we understand homes were burning earlier today. And I'll tell you, we did get up there, and I feel like I got punched in the stomach. We are going to go back there to get some video for you to show you what remains. I know we do have some video from earlier today as the houses were burning. Tonight, it is devastating. Just shells of houses, one after the other throughout the entire neighborhood. We were having some trouble with cell service, so we had to come back down to do this live shot for you, and found this unbelievable sight where we are as well. But really just a remarkable teamwork going on here tonight as hundreds of firefighters are stationed throughout this area trying to get a hold of this fire, to keep it under control. We have witnessed ourselves, we were yards from a house that caught fire, and within the hour it was gone. We witnessed as fires popped up where there was no fire when we first arrived. We witnessed as, hillsides that were completely calm and not on fire tonight are completely burned. I mean, this has really been in the thick of it. We have been able to get a remarkable viewpoint, really as close to the front lines as I have ever been, watching these firefighters tackle what is more than 19,000 acres now, this airport fire. It, of course, started on Monday. OC officials declared a state of emergency. I understand the governor now has also, which, of course, will open up other tools, financial and otherwise, to help assist in the response to this. When we first arrived, one of the things was the smoke was so dense and thick that we really did not see any air support. In the last hour, we have seen that begin again. We've watched some remarkable precision by the pilots of those planes, really pinpointing hot spots and dropping the water right on top of it. I mean, it's just unbelievable and really interesting to see from so close up. And again, then just all these firefighters trying to keep the flames from jumping the Ortega Highway again, though they already did that earlier today. They have a lot to do tonight, and we really give it to them for everything that they are trying to do. Again, there are evacuations throughout Lake Elsinore. We certainly understand why that is, because this fire right before our own eyes has been growing so exponentially. A lot more work to do through tonight, and certainly probably for days to come. Guys, back to you.
Lori, you were mentioning El Carrizo Road since the 8 o'clock hour, that many homes were burned along that road. Now, you showed us at least 2 homes that were burning during your live shots tonight, unfortunately, we saw that happening.
Yeah.
Were those homes along El Carrizo as well?
They were not. So that was that spot where we were was a little bit further down, maybe about 3/4 of a mile or a mile from El Carrizo. And those homes were kind of isolated. It was actually just one home that caught fire, and the other home nearly caught fire. I mean, the flames were very, very close, but it had not yet caught fire. In fact, I can probably see it from here, but it's hard to tell. We would have to go back down. But again, we did make our way up to that El Carrizo Road, and
oh, Lori,
would
you say
it's difficult to see?
Would you say at least a dozen homes or more? I know Lori's maybe having some trouble hearing us because of
I'm
the
sorry.
water dropping helicopters overhead. But she's been talking to us about how they have been
Sorry,
back
Susie, I
since the
can't hear
smoke
you.
has been cleared. Lori, I just wanted to ask you, when you were on El Carrizo Road, I know it was so heartbreaking to see all the homes up there destroyed. How many would you say? Could you count about?
I mean, we were just actually on the street entering into the road, so we hadn't even gone into the neighborhood yet. And I mean, I could see, the whole side of one street, so maybe at least 4 or 5 houses in that one area where we were. But then we could see where things were still burning. It kind of laid the outline of where the other houses were. I mean, a lot, and really so emotional to see it, really, because as you said, when you think about those families, like this morning they had a house and now they don't. It's just devastating.
It really is.
It is. All right, thank you so much, our Laurie Paris there in Lake Elsinore. Now we want to take you on the other side, to the other side of this fire. You see these homes not affected right now, but we know so many families had to flee just in an instant as these fires continue to rage. You see there in the distance, that fire right there, just a little bit of flames you can see there in the dark tonight. But we know the airport fire now has grown to nearly 20,000 acres. Of course, evacuation warnings in place still there tonight as crews try to work to get this fire contained, to keep it from spreading further as we've watched it grow and grow tonight. Susie, I remember when we first went to Lori earlier tonight. She was there on the side of the road, and you could just see small flames, and then medium-sized flames, and then we just watched a house just go up in flames here in this area.
So much has been happening in the last few hours, and this is a live shot that you're looking at from the Orange County side in Rancho Santa Margarita, in a neighborhood there. And as we mentioned, this airport fire started in Orange County and then jumped into the Lake Elsinore area, covering a lot of ground. One thing, if it's any kind of positive news that I'm noticing tonight, is that this shot 2 hours ago during the 8 o'clock hour, you can see a lot more flames, actual flamage. So, you know, the fact that it's a little bit more small, and, you know, it just goes to show you, first of all, you know, the work that firefighters are doing there, out there tirelessly throughout the night, in the air and on the ground, trying to save these homes.
Yeah, especially in this heat of the weather that we've been dealing with lately. And now to the San Bernardino Mountains, where homes there are burning in Running Springs tonight. And the western half of Big Bear Lake is